Are you ready for your window shoppers to become paying customers? Equity Commerce is here to make that happen. We can help you automatically show the exact product visitors saw but didn't purchase on your site wherever they go on Facebook and Instagram using this magic called dynamic Facebook retargeting. To show these ads to your prospects today, sign up in your Equid control panel in the marketing section and look for the Facebook remarketing app. This is fully integrated into Equid and Facebook and so simple and effective you'll wonder why you hadn't done this sooner. To help you decide, if you sign up now and spend $50 by February 15th, you'll receive a free $100 advertising credit from our friends at Facebook. Okay, back to the show.
This is the Equid E-Commerce Show with your host, Jesse Ness, along with Richard O'Tay.
Hey guys, Jesse Ness here with the Equid Podcast. I'm here with my co-host, Richard O'Tay.
How's it going, Jess? How are you?
It's good. So yeah, today I think I'm excited about this podcast because, part of the reason we started this was we just wanted to have an e-commerce conversation. Like what do we, if I'm at happy hour with some friends that are in the business, what kind of questions am I asking them? How can I, find out how to bring my business forward? So yeah, pretty excited.
Yeah, this is going to be a good one. Daniela's definitely. How long has she been working with Equid as far as products?
For many years.
I know she doesn't work for you guys, but she works with you guys for a while. Or
so many years. I think that for listeners of the podcast here, you might actually be hearing a familiar voice. So Daniela has made probably 50 to 100 Equid videos and posted them on YouTube. So that's where we first found out about Daniela. So. Let's bring her on. Daniela is Daniela.io, Daniela.io. She's a freelancer with over 10 years of e-commerce experience. And like I said, she's created like 50, 100 Equid videos. So
she manages Equid stores too, right? Well, we'll ask her when she
gets on. So Daniela, how are you?
Hi, Jesse and Rich. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. How are you?
Good. I'm great. I'm super happy to be here today with you. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, so Daniela, we mentioned all the YouTube videos, so you're kind of like the queen of Equid videos. So thank you for doing all that.
It's my pleasure. I really love the product.
Awesome. And so that's why we had you on. We've noticed you in a lot of different places and really want to help out, the Equid community. You're putting out this great content, both on YouTube, and I know you have some clients that you do a lot. So explain to us, what exactly do you do? How do you explain yourself?
Sure. I started working with Equid, using Equid back in 2015. I was looking for a versatile e-commerce solution that was really user-friendly, that could integrate multiple websites actually at the time, and that didn't require any development because I'm not a developer. I'm more of an entrepreneur, and I really wanted something that was easy to use with my clients. And I came across Equid. I was super enthusiastic about it, and I started helping entrepreneurs get online with it. And they always had the same questions, and I don't like repeating the same thing so many times. So I was like, I'm just going to start making YouTube videos.
So just turn on the camera, press record, and awesome.
Yeah, you hit the whole rinse and repeat thing. You rinse, and they can repeat over and over on their own. That's great. Good idea.
So Daniela, you mentioned you found Equid several years ago. So since I handle marketing, how did you find Equid? What were you searching for?
That's a good question. I was actually part of a business incubator. Actually, I'm still there now. And I was talking to a couple entrepreneurs there, and I was asking, what should I do? I was making an e-commerce platform. I was looking to make something kind of along the lines of an eBay, in a sense that people could come on, have their own store, and manage their store themselves within a marketplace. And I was talking to people, should I go with Magento? Should I go with all these other solutions that exist? And one guy said to me, well, have you heard of Equid? And I hadn't, so I looked it up, and that's when I discovered the product.
Awesome. Thank you to whoever that guy was. Appreciate that.
Is he still in the incubator?
Yes, he still is, actually.
Nice. Yeah. So thank you, for real.
Yeah, absolutely. Word of mouth is the best advertising. So I'm glad he loved it and gave you the advice. So that was a couple years ago. When do you think you started using Equid?
At that time, back in 2015. So I started helping. people get online with it. And then now I have my own Equid store too, so I use it myself.
Got it. So 2015, so not even that long ago, really. So so awesome. But you've had several years. How many client websites have you worked on?
Yeah, since then I've helped at least actual people that I've worked with directly, about 50 entrepreneurs make their stores online. It's so easy and it's so quick to get online that it's been easy for me to help 50 people directly. But I know that through my YouTube videos, I've helped many other people, and sometimes I get questions like, hey, Danielle, I really liked how you explained this. Could you help me with this, and that? And those I get a couple every week that come in here and there.
Perfect. And so, I mean, I think that's a pretty good segue. So you've helped all these people on YouTube, and now we're taking that and spreading it to a wider audience via a podcast. So perfect.
So happy to be part of that.
Yeah, good stuff. And it's part of the whole philosophy, too, of, I mean, you were solving your own problem at first, right? You are an entrepreneur. You're an action taker. You went to these meetups or this business group, and someone told you about it. Next thing you know, you're on it. Here we are 2 years later. You got 50 stores that you're working with people out of, and a lot of that spread because you realized you needed to keep the things that were easy, right? Because if you're an entrepreneur, there's always endless number of things that you need to do. And so these little things you were doing to solve it, like first picking a good cart to work with that was easy to work with was one. Second, you realized they're all asking the same questions and you could answer those in a video so you could get back to work. Because I think if you had to keep answering all those videos or all those questions all the time, you could have never got to the 50 stores, right?
No, definitely
right.
not.
So you solving your own problems and keeping these processes easy and free flow, it sounds to me to be a big part of what's helped you get this many customers, aside from having an obviously bubbly, vivacious attitude. Like that doesn't hurt any. Do you think that kind of happened? You know, solving your own problems has led you to have this many stores, or you just, do you want more? Can you handle more?
Thank you. Yeah, for sure. I mean, Equid is an excellent product, so it's been easy to just be like, hey, look at this, and it's so user friendly. So it's been very easy to find people who had the issues, such as a lot of solutions take fees on their sales, or there's barriers to entry like hosting and setup fees and installations, and you need a developer, and all these things that like entrepreneurs do not want to deal with. And neither do I. and so yeah, Equid was easy to find those people to get them online. So it's been pretty easy thanks to the product too. Yeah. Good.
I mean, I didn't prompt you to say that or pay you for those those words, so I promise. But yeah, so when you started with these clients, Equid can be put on a lot of different platforms. Were you usually using, Equid with WordPress, or what was the other, other platform you were working with generally?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I was back when I was doing my own project, and I was trying to figure out how I could get all of those stores into the same platform, I started using WordPress, and it's very easy just to add an Equid store to a WordPress page, and there you go. I had a platform with a bunch of Equid stores on it that were managed by individual users, so it was very easy to set that up.
Sure. So then they can still, your clients can still, if they want to create a blog post on WordPress, it's already right there. They have access. They don't need to ask you. They can just do it.
Yeah, I love optimizing things, and if people can be independent and own their things, because side note, some people contact me and they ask me if I'm a web agency or things like that, and I'm really a freelancer and an entrepreneur, and my true belief is that your website, your domain name, all of that stuff, your store, your online store, for an entrepreneur, those are things that are assets that belong to their companies, and I don't like taking those things. And contrary to some web agencies, I have a philosophy where I like to teach people so they can be independent and manage things on their own. So when I started creating the platform and using WordPress, there was a bit of a learning curve, so I did have to teach people a little bit how to use that. But if some people wanted to be independent and on their own, have their own store in a website that they could manage very easily, I'd usually refer them. And if they were local too, I'd usually refer them to Wix, which is also very easy to set up Ecwid within Wix. So they're probably the two platforms that I've worked with the most so far.
Sure. So if they're maybe a little more technical and had some chops, maybe WordPress, but if it's just going to be maybe the easier option might be Wix for some people. Was your thought?
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Daniela, I mean, we want to help you with your sharing of knowledge and the teaching. So let's talk to us about the first tip you wanted to share with the audience about converting abandoned carts. Can you, let's break that down into, I know what that means and Rich does, but, for the people that might not know what we're talking about, what exactly are abandoned carts?
Sure, yeah. Abandoned carts are pretty much a cart that your client started. They put a couple products in their virtual cart, and then they started the checkout process, but then they never finished it. For some reason, they just didn't complete their order. Sometimes it's a lack of time. Sometimes there's a technical issue. For example, I've already seen that PayPal timed out and that people had to come back later on to do it. So there's multiple reasons why, but the first time I noticed that was actually in 2015. I had a client who had $400 of abandoned carts just sitting on their account, and I was like, hey, this is $400 just sitting there that you could convert easily. And he was like, oh, what's that? So I showed him how to set it up. Back then you had to do it manually, so you just had to send out an email. But recently Ecwid came out with a really cool feature. You could automatically send your customers an email after they abandon their cart. So 2 hours later, an email can automatically go out to remind them that they have an abandoned cart, and that they could come back to their order and complete it if they wish.
Awesome. So you have helped. So that client in particular, you helped him set up his process. And yeah, you're right. So Ecwid did make it automated now. How hard is it to set up one of these?
Wait. Before we go in that,
okay,
I'm interested. How much of the 400 did he convert when you did it?
Yeah, it's actually interesting. I saw that Ecwid released a statistic that was 15% of abandoned carts are usually processed, and that's exactly what I observed with him. It was about 15% of his $400 that were converted.
Nice. So it was worth his time.
Absolutely, yeah. And now, well, to answer Jesse's question that he started, I think he was asking how hard it is to set that up. With the abandoned cart, the automation now, it's literally click a button.
So if he made $50 back and in a click of a button time, that's a nice per hour rate.
Absolutely, it's not complicated at all.
Wow. So I work at Ecwid. I didn't realize it was that easy. So basically, most merchants potentially have some money just sitting there, where you go into the abandoned cart section to set up the email. Is there did you customize an email for clients now, or is there it's just ready to go at a push of a button?
Ecwid already offers a customized message within the when you go to the abandoned cart section and you click on that to open the automation. You click OK. I'd like to activate that automation. There's a pop-up. You can change the message that's there by default. Mm-hmm. You can customize it with your own information if you wish, or you could leave it the way it is. Honestly, I've usually left it the way it is. I was going to modify it, but it's perfect. It's pretty straightforward. It's like, hey, we noticed you were placing an order for this product with the product usually named. And, you can be like, hey, if you have any questions or need assistance, we're here for you. And here's the link if you would like to complete your order. So that's the most important thing is there by default.
I'm interested. 2 hours sounds like a perfect amount of time. Did you choose that time, or are there variable times you could send it within there? Or do they just know that's an optimal time in Ecwid?
Yeah, I think the time is set by Ecwid. I didn't see any places where you can edit it. So I'm
2 hours is perfect. I just wanted to know, because I didn't know either that it was that easy. And so I was like, wow, someone was thinking ahead. Let's just put it this optimal time. Let's make it super easy. Let the click of a button. It would almost be silly for someone that's hearing this right now that owns an Ecwid store to not go right into their store and walk them through this. We should do a whole nother one of these podcasts specifically to walk someone through. Mm-hmm. Could they walk through? Is there a way you could do it right now in a few seconds, or sure. Do you have a store or something there?
Sure, I could do it really quickly. Actually, from memory, I know the interface pretty well.
Yeah, working with 50 stores, you've probably done this a couple times now.
I'm actually going to check just to make sure real quick. I don't want to say anything that's off because I know that there have been a couple updates to the Ecwid interface recently. Some really cool new things that Ecwid is releasing, and some of the options have been changed places. So I just want to make sure
No, that's all right. Let's go ahead and talk more about it. I mean, if you can do it in the background, and if you find out, that's fine. But if not, we can keep just talking about abandoned carts in general. So, to your point, oh, you found it?
Yes, I'm there.
All right.
Okay.
So go ahead.
The user would go to My Sales and then click on Abandoned Carts. And then right at the bottom of the page, it says Recover Abandoned Carts Automatically. Just click on Enable, and it's done.
Voila. And you're now making $2,000 an hour. As long as you have $400 at least in your card. Oh, that's funny.
So if I'm a merchant and I'm listening and I'm this is your commute, pull over, take down this note. This is just a super easy tip. Yeah. Do not drive and log into your control panel. But yeah, a super easy thing to turn on. You're going to immediately start sending emails to customers who've put stuff in your cart and then left the process. And everybody does this. This is not a spammy tactic. You can be kind of fun with the emails. Depending on your product, if you have a boutique, hey, looks like you ran out the front door and you left this bag behind, chasing you down the sidewalk with a special deal. There are ways to be creative, even if that was maybe a little cheesy, but, there are ways to make it fun.
Horrible.
Okay. All right.
I mean, you were trying to be fun, so, and you did it on the fly. That was actually not bad.
There's no notes here, guys. We're doing it live. So... Daniela, any other thoughts on abandoned carts that you've set up for your clients that you would like to share?
No, but I definitely recommend that customers use this option. It's there and it works. So yeah, definitely activate that if you can.
Awesome, perfect tip.
So you've had these frequently asked questions. You started making these videos. Other than abandoned carts, what was another thing that you saw that someone could take advantage of, a tip and or a frequently asked question?
Sure, yeah. Another thing people usually ask about was coupon codes, how to set them up, how they work, all those things.
Yeah, so for people that haven't seen this inside the Ecwid control panel, this is basically a way to send an email to customers. Hey, we're having a sale. It's what's the holiday that's coming up? Do you need to clear out some inventory? Essentially open up your own inbox and see all the emails that you're getting from all the e-commerce companies, and you can borrow those ideas. And coupon codes are what you do. That's the mechanics to actually make this work.
Did you see anything when you were working, because you have a lot of clients, and so I'm interested for that merchant that's listening, that's wondering, what do you offer? Do you don't want to give away. You're trying. You have a margin to work with. Do you start with a small number like $5 off, and then work it up to 10 a couple days later? Like, do you have some sort of thing that you saw when you were working with coupon codes across various merchants that you would get different results? Like what?
Within my merchants or me as Daniela.io?
Or you, right? Because it sounds like you're an e-commerce owner too. So just in general, when you're using coupon codes, what's a good way for you to? I mean, like, what did you say in your video? Other than how to set it up, like what do you think someone should be doing when they set up their coupon codes inside of Ecwid? And we'll put in the links to your YouTube, or we'll let people know where to go to follow you more. But what would you say to them as far as when they're trying to figure out how much?
Okay. So usually if a good practice is to have some indication as to where or how the person got the coupon code within the code, or at least within Ecwid, at least have some kind of note somewhere as to, did I give it away in person? Did this person use this code when they came to an event that I attended? Was it through networking? Was it at a conference that I gave? At the end, there was a conference, and I gave off a coupon code, and then the people used the code, and they came through the conference. Was it in a trade show, in-store, online, for example? The reason for that is to understand where your best sales channels are, because if you know that at the conference there's 50 people that use your coupon code in your store, well, then those are that worked there, and maybe you want to go back to that conference next year because it was because it's something that worked for your marketing, and the coupon code had a return on investment. So there's that. A good practice is to have some kind of indication. So it could be, for example, you name your coupon code. I'm thinking of a trade show. I don't know.
It completely makes sense, though. Like, you would name it what it is if you're going to internet retailer or something.
Or like if you're going to the farmer's market and you're putting up your tent and your table there, and you're giving people customers, like, call it Farmer's Market April 2018, right? Like, give yourself some tip for later that you're like, what the heck was this coupon code for? Oh, yeah, we were at a trade show, or this was a promo that I did for Father's Day. So
I love that idea. Plus, you can segment now, so when you're putting that coupon code together, that answers kind of where I was going when you're working with the margins. You know how much that trade show costs. You know the type of client you're going to possibly get out of that trade show. It's different for different merchants, but no, that's a great idea to name it, the actual event, so it's probably clear in their mind too. Also, what is this coupon code for again? You could almost name it within that. Spring 50 for some sort of 50% off for a spring sale or something too. So makes sense.
Absolutely. And I guess in the world that we're in today, people think of coupon codes online a lot. They'd be like, okay, you get coupon codes in podcasts and emails and articles and blogs, and you get them in your inbox, but don't forget to use them in person still. Like, in conferences and trade shows, as a sign off after you've given a whole bunch of free content, it's always good to, within the farmer's market, why not? Like, you can give a coupon code and say, hey, use this in my online store. It's a good way to get people that are your physical customers to come online and purchase from you in your online store. For sure.
So Daniela, I mean, there's a lot of ways to use coupons. Can you give us a couple examples that you would, advise your clients to use them? Like when would you use a promo?
Mm-hmm. You can use them to reward loyal customers. I really like that idea particularly because, I don't know, sometimes you've been a customer for a company for many years and you, I don't know, talked about it to many, many people, and you never feel like the company thought of you. It's cool to get a coupon code from a company that you really, really love, and that, I don't know, you could share with other people or something like that. It's a good way also to encourage word of mouth. So yeah, rewarding loyal customers is one way.
Well, and I mean, with that too, like, this is, for e-commerce owners out there, I really hope you're grabbing emails. So when you make a sale, you definitely should be storing those emails somewhere. And then, like, if you need a reason, you maybe need to pay some inventory, you can always do a sale to your list. Like, that's the easiest money in e-commerce is, repeat sales to your existing customer list. And, you're not paying for the marketing. So if you paid for marketing to get them the first time, this is essentially free. So, do not be afraid to send promotional emails to your existing customer base. Not maybe every day. Take it easy, but don't be afraid to do it.
Absolutely,
but
yeah.
To your point there, though, with the loyal customers, I really love that idea. Done it a few times with various customers, clients of mine as well. What's really worked very well is what appears to be random too, right? So Jesse's point is 100% correct. Don't be afraid to market to your list. But since we're talking right now about rewarding a loyal customer, kind of, if it doesn't feel like marketing to them, but it's not saying something like it's because it's spring or it's because it's Christmas or it's because of this, but it just really feels because you are thankful for them being your customer. I've seen it even have a larger lift. I don't know if if you've ever tried something like that, or if it usually goes around a holiday and you're trying to do a promotion at the same time. But wondered your input if you ever tried something like that, Daniela, or had any thoughts on that.
I haven't tried it, but I definitely have a couple companies that I really, really like. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like sometimes you get that question, how likely are you to refer this company? I think it's the NPS score, Net Promoter Score. If you get a 10 on 10, I want to reward those customers. I'll be like, hey, thank you so much for like being so enthusiastic about our company, for referring it to your friends. Like, here's a coupon code if you want to share it with your friends, the next people that you refer it to. I think that's a really good idea. I haven't seen it implemented towards me or my customers. I haven't seen them implement it either. But I think it'd be a really cool idea, and I definitely want to try it with some clients in the future.
For sure. And I wanted to add a tip, Danielle. I know this is, these were your tips, but I wanted to add one too. Sure. I have personally used them on my own business to basically solve customer service problems. So if somebody's calling in about a delivery problem, this was late, I expected it to be different, et cetera, like whatever the reason is, it's very easy to give them a coupon code for a future order, and that coupon might be a little bigger than you would like to give if you were giving them a refund, because that they basically have to order again in order to use that coupon. So I've seen that used very effectively to diffuse difficult customers that are they might start out yelling and swearing at you on the phone, but by the end, a $50, $100 gift certificate, and they're smiling and telling their friends about it at the end of the call.
That's a great idea. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So, Daniela, you're next up. What is your next tip on coupons?
On coupons? Well, another thing we could use them for is, like I was saying before, encourage offline buyers to purchase online. So you were saying, I hope that you guys, e-commerce owners out there or store owners out there, are taking your customers' emails. Of course, you probably do it online, right, when they're placing an order, but also in person. Some people will say no, and that's okay. But if you can get their emails in person from your physical customers, if you own a brick and mortar store, and then offer them a coupon code if they make their first purchase online, it can be great. Some people actually make a higher return on investment through online sales than in-store sales. So if you're one of those people who want to encourage your physical buyers to purchase online, using coupon codes and getting their emails for a coupon code is a good way to do it.
Absolutely.
That's great. You could probably use it both ways too, I'm sure, right? Like you have some sort of drive them from offline to online. Just getting them to bounce around in either of your ecosystems going to probably make a stickier customer. I mean, you're obviously not going to sell pizza online too, but right, if there was something where, hey, print this out and come in, or just show us on your phone, come in the store, come into the restaurant, come into whatever it is, that you could do this both ways. Sounds like.
Definitely. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So Daniela, I mean, because you're the YouTube how-to specialist here, can you give a quick rundown of where you would go inside the control panel?
Absolutely. So if you're in the Ecwid control panel and you're not driving right now, right?
Maybe we should put timestamps for this.
Right. You go to discounts, and then you can create a discount coupon. So you just add a new coupon. I have a video on my YouTube channel that goes in detail on this, because it's a little complex in a sense that it's very easy to create a coupon code, but there's a little button called No Limits, and that offers an extensive array of like possibilibilities. And the
you mean like button, no limits on the possibilities? Wow, someone was thinking there.
That was good. I didn't think of that. That's really good. So unlimited possibilities with this button. You can apply your coupon code to a subtotal on all orders, or you could limit it per category, per product. It could be one-time use or more than one use.
What about shipping? Can we do free shipping with that?
Definitely. Yep. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, so basically, just get creative and get in there and start to see, like, do you want percentage off, dollars off certain products? Maybe there's a product you have too much of and you want to clear it out. So there's if you can think about it and you see all the emails you get in your inbox, you can replicate that inside of Equid. It doesn't take that long, and I think we've come to a point in the world now that people expect coupons. So if you've bought from a place, you expect eventually to get an email from them to check in, and coupons are really kind of a part of that transaction.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Oh, that's awesome. So do you use coupons much in your e-commerce? And what is your e-commerce store yourself? You don't know?
Sure, yeah. It's Daniela.io/store. So DANIELLA.io/store. And pretty much in my store, I have Equid ebooks. A couple ebooks I wrote for Equid because I really like the product. And I had a whole bunch of ideas. So it's just a couple ebooks and articles on business.
Have you found out after how many downloads of those ebooks does it turn into a client? You don't have to answer. I'm just messing with you. I'm a marketer too, so I just constantly I could go down so many paths. I got to keep it on track here. Got to keep it on track. So, what's another one of the things that come up in the how-to videos that you have, as far as what people can do, unique ways to maybe they've gotten to their store, you've sold a product, or they're about ready to sell a product. Is there a way to maybe increase the average order or get a bigger sale out of presenting things in a different way? Do you have any tips or anything come up with something like that?
Yeah, definitely. There's something that people don't think about all the time, or they know of, or they've already used, but they don't offer it in their own e-commerce, and that's cross-selling, upselling, and downselling. Or maybe they do it in their brick-and-mortar store, but they don't do it online. So yeah, I could explain maybe a bit more on these things: cross-sell, upsell, and downsell. Yeah,
let's hear it. Sounds good.
Okay. Well, cross-selling, it's a way to increase your revenue, but at the same time, you want to offer good service. So a couple examples of that are Amazon's customers who purchased A also purchased B. For example, I just bought a new mic for my for my recordings. Hopefully, the sound will improve on my recordings thanks to this. And I bought it on Amazon, and when I purchased it, they offered to get the arm with it, which was great because I needed something to prop it up on my desk, and I didn't think about it when I was buying the mic. So it really helped me, and Amazon made a cross sale pretty easily because it's something that I needed with the mic I was buying. So
awesome.
It's one way of doing it. Yeah.
And so Equid merchants actually have that same ability to set up that same upsell opportunity.
Absolutely. It's really not hard to set up within Equid. Did you guys want me to go into how to do that within Equid?
No, yeah. I mean, you could still just talk about a little bit more about cross sells in general, and then we'll maybe pop down to see if it's pretty easy to do over a podcast. And if not, we can always go in detail later and do something on a webinar. So in general, I'm just wondering how people would do this. What should they be thinking about when they're doing these cross sales? I mean, that's a obvious but not so obvious, right? Another one, a friend of ours, Jesse, and I, that we used to work with, and he still has an e-commerce store. He used videos a lot. He did iPhone parts, and when he would do a video on how to replace a part, then he would also show other things that you might need, like, oh, if you're going to replace this part, you're going to need this tool, and you're going to need this magnifying glass to see that small part, or whatever. And so it's fascinating to me how much you can potentially increase that average order value if you really think about the customer experience, where are the customers at, what they're really doing. And even though you used Amazon as an example there, and to Jesse's point, Equid could do this, it's in you knowing your customers, even though their machine algorithms are good. Watch, you're going to get things for mics for the next 3 weeks, although you already bought the damn mic, right? So we can actually do better than Amazon when we really think out the customer path, because we know them. We talk more. They're great and they're a behemoth, and the whole nother segment we should probably talk about. You should probably have that store as well, but just because of their sheer size. But for this, being able to control in your Ecwid store and knowing your customer and your customer's journey, that could be a very powerful way to up the average order value.
Absolutely. There's a couple questions that listeners can ask themselves to help them figure out what they could cross-sell together if they want. For example, could you sell your product with a service? For example, if you have a product that needs a repair service or a warranty or a guarantee, those are easy cross-sells. Also, does it need some other product to work? For example, you're giving the iPhone. Definitely, I've already had that experience myself where I was going to fix an iPhone, but I didn't have the tools to do it. So yeah, if I had seen a cross-sell that was offering me those tools, I would have got them for sure.
Darn, we should have had you go to his site.
You bought it from whoever set that store up wasn't thinking. You have to think, what do people need as soon as they buy this?
I'm surprised. If you would have done a YouTube video search first on how to do it, you probably would have found his. But you're an entrepreneur. You were going for it on your own.
That's it. I wanted to get it done. Anyway, but yeah, there also, I don't know if the listeners, if they have e-goods, that's another way of cross-selling. If you want to offer a downloadable product with what you're selling, it's another way of making sure that your customers have a good experience with the product sometimes.
Oh, that's a great idea there, because you got an ebook, and now you could even have hyperlinks in there back for other products and or services in your store in the ebook.
Yep.
And you have a pretty decent margin on an ebook as well, so you get to keep that money.
For sure.
So who are other, maybe other examples of sellers that should think about an upsell, cross-sell?
Actually, I had one client recently who was selling. They're like candle holders online. It's a thing that you put wax in, and then it makes the room smell really nice. I'm sorry, I only know the word in French for it, but I'm not going to say it. Okay.
We can be bilingual here. Go for the French word.
I work with her in French, but she just wanted to make sure that her customers knew that they needed the special wax for it to work correctly, right? So she was like, I want to offer a cross sale, but I want to make sure that my clients take action and say, no, I don't need it if they don't need it. Or yes, I do. I don't have any at home. And Ecwid didn't offer that specifically. You could cross sell products easily. You could be like, hey, do you want to buy this with that? But it's not mandatory. And in that case, we just made an option, and we made sure that the person had to take action on that cross sale. So it's really cool. You can do just, those who purchased A also purchased B. Are you interested? Regular cross sale. Or, hey, do you want this product? And that's more of a mandatory cross sale where they actually have to say yes or no.
Got it. Okay. And then you're covered. The customer had the option. They had to actually click something in order to say no.
And that is important for some other clients I've worked with who are selling batteries. They were selling it in a brick and mortar store, but they had the possibility of purchasing online. And for legal reasons, the person actually had to say, yes, I heard that I need this product, but I don't want it. So sometimes there's constraints that make you have to say yes or no, and you have a legal proof. Like the person said no, they didn't want to buy it with it. So it depends on the cases.
Perfect use case. Yeah. Yeah. So, I think it's kind of up to every merchant out there to think about, okay, the products I'm selling, is there something I, tell them in the product description, like, oh yeah, you're going to buy this, and then you need this. And if you're not selling those items, you're definitely leaving money on the table. You don't want to tell them to go to Amazon. So
no.
Cool. So, any other ideas on cross sells?
One idea. Always make sure that your cross sales are pertinent. I've seen some clients do some cross sales that just don't make sense. Cross-selling is a great tool, but make sure that what you're offering does go with the other thing. I mean, the two items should go together, or three or whatever, as many items as you're cross-selling, but it should make sense.
Okay, perfect.
Like don't cross sell a banana with a bike. Like, you know, you want to cross sell a bike with a helmet. That makes sense.
I was going to date myself. We used to have banana seats on our bikes.
Oh, that's true. Banana seat. Okay, that's a good cross sell. A banana seat, but not a banana.
I had to say it.
That's good.
So as far as an upsell in a scenario, you know, some people might be thinking that, you know, that sounds very similar. What is the difference between an upsell and a cross sell exactly?
Yep. Cross-selling is more of a suggestion, unless you're in the case where, you know, you have to ask the client if they want the product. But an upsell is more where, you know, the customer is interested in a product, but they might be interested in something that's a little bit higher quality or, you know, a higher perceived value. If we look at iPhones, for example, someone's purchasing an iPhone, and they could buy the latest iPhone, but they're thinking about the one that they're buying, you know, the older version. Maybe you want to upsell and you want to try to sell them the better version one, and they can compare them and have a look and see, you know what I mean? It's more, it's offering, you know, the higher end product and letting the client, you know, decide if they would rather have that one than the one that they're looking at. Is
that usually happening, like they put it in their cart and then you're trying to do it after they've put it in the cart, or where is that happening for them? How are they experiencing it?
So within Ecwid, for the clients that I have, we've mostly done it within the description. So it would be in the product description. You just say, hey, if you are interested in the product that, you know, is higher end, or you of course you'd word that better than what I just said. But
if you don't want this crummy product, you'd rather.
No, wouldn't say that, but like, yeah, word that correctly. But you would link to this product, the other product they could have a look at, and explain why maybe that one would be a better choice. It's always customer service. You want to offer good service. Maybe that product actually is better. The one that they're looking at is, you know, a little bit cheaper, might not last as long, but it's still a good product. But, you know, you still want to just see if they want to go towards the higher end product. So it's just yeah,
I'm sure there's always a percentage of your market. We've kind of experienced it in working with different clients and on our own stores that they're just some clients, if you let them know there's something more higher end, there's just going to be a percentage that will always take it. I can't guarantee it's going to be a large percentage, but there'll be some percentage of your customers that will take the higher end offer.
Mm-hmm. And like upselling can be going for that higher end product, but it could also be, you know, like, for example, buy two, get one free. You're upselling because the person is going to buy two, but they're also going to get another one. Well, they're going to buy one. Maybe they were thinking of buying one, but now they're going to buy two to get one free.
That's actually a good question. I've never really asked you that, Jess. And maybe you know, Daniela, can you set up, like, say someone was doing a book launch, could you set it up where it's like buy one, buy three, buy five, you know, to where you can kind of have these different packages to almost to encourage them between the lines, like buy some for your whole family for. And I'm putting you on the spot here because we have no idea. I could dive in and find out pretty quick. But have you seen anything like that, or?
Honestly, I haven't set it up in Ecwid, but if I had to think of a quick workaround, I know that you could offer a coupon code. So, for example, if you put that offer on, like if you went to the no limits option and then you made that offer on specific products, and then you made the subtotal that had to be a certain amount, and the person used the coupon code, in which case they'd be able to use the offer. Or if it's buy two and get one free, I guess if the person buys two, you just send them one free. You don't even have to set up anything in Ecwid for that.
Yeah, that's true.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, so that's one way to do it. I think another way that's used commonly is, you know, people need to hit a certain threshold, right? So, you know, hey, spend $100 and get $10 off, or spend $150 and get free shipping. So there's several ways that you can incorporate really an upsell in there. And there's a couple ways to do it, but definitely a lot of times it's by hitting a certain threshold, so people need to spend more money at the store.
Yeah, good call. Yeah.
I could imagine too, like at checkout, that would be a great spot. Also, they're there. Oh, and maybe the upsell shortens the time frame for them to be able to we'll assemble it for you, or whatever the thing is, right? Who knows what someone's business is that's listening right now, but once they're in there, there might be some, what's that phrase again, where you it's cheap, it's fast, and it's good. You get to pick two. So it's like maybe the upsell is like, oh, well, you got it, fast or you got it good and cheap, but you can upsell the faster or something like that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Not necessarily shipping it faster, but it would be, you'd have to be a service business or something probably to take advantage of that. So you were also mentioning downsales. What exactly is that?
Yeah, so downselling is kind of the opposite of upselling in a sense that the person's looking at the mid-market product, and maybe that customer would actually want the lower end product. So, you have to know your customer personas pretty well to be able to gauge this and to apply it well to your products. But sometimes if you notice, for example, there's a couple of indicators that can show you that you should be downselling. For example, if you notice that your customers are leaving your online store without purchasing at a specific, product, they always leave on that product. They never purchase it. Maybe you could, have a pop-up that comes up and say, hey, if you buy this other product that's, lower perceived value or still a good product, but, a little bit less expensive, maybe doesn't have as many options and features on it. Maybe you'll be able to catch sales, before they leave your store with that pop-up. So,
man, you just gave me a great idea. I think either that or I'm just dreaming. We're such a comparative species that if you could, as long as you weren't being misleading and you actually had a real product you were trying to sell for a high price, and you knew that most people weren't going to be able to afford that product, and you're almost doing it like it's a car commercial during the Super Bowl, and you see that lease and it's for that great price, but then in the fine print you're like, that's not the one that's shown in the picture though. I'm not necessarily saying to be misleading, because they're not either. You got limited amount of time and we're trying to catch people's attention. So what I really mean by this is, if you had a real product there and you knew they aspire to get to that, the downsell could be, hey, you're not quite there yet? Well, how about this? And, almost from a psychological play and being transparent, like, hey, you might not be able to afford this yet, but you aspire to do that. How about this one? Like an entry level version of that high end product, and they don't feel like, I'm buying a lower end product. It's like, hey, you present it in such a way where it's almost like you're giving them training wheels to get to that higher end product. Yeah,
for sure. That could be something that works too. Mm.
I think this is Elon Musk's idea here. This is the Tesla 3 here. Like, that I know you want the Tesla S, but that's a lot of money. Here's this Tesla 3. It looks kind of the same, a little smaller.
But hey, for those of you who want a rocket,
he's got the upsells and downsells covered. Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty wide range there of trips to the moon down to a, we'll call it entry level car.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, if we wanted to bring it to like our listeners who maybe don't have Teslas to offer, one thing that I saw was really cool was I had one customer selling music, and they noticed that like CDs sometimes, people don't use CDs anymore these days, and you have to ship it, and it's a physical product, and they decided to downsell with a pop-up using downloadable music. He was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to let them be able to download it. I don't have to ship anything, so I can lower the cost. And yeah, it was an easy downsell for him. He didn't want to offer it as a specific like right up front product. He'd rather people purchase the CD. But at the end with the exit, he had the possibility of buying the downloadable files instead. So
he actually used an exit pop then. And can you describe what an exit pop is for the audience?
Sure. It's a pop-up that comes on your screen when at a certain point, which you can configure usually. And yeah, you have to take action on it. Either you have to close it, either you have to say okay. There's some kind of action that you have to take. Sometimes it can be provide your email. Here's another offer. There's a couple of things. Maybe you guys might have better wording on that for me.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think there's ways to do it. It's the annoying pop-ups that everybody hates, but they do work. And I think I'm pretty sure there's an app inside of Ecwid that does that. So we'll do a little more research and put that in the show notes. Yeah,
and they're about to leave anyway, so.
Yeah. See you later. Here's a pop-up. Sorry.
So there was, you're doing all this on YouTube, and you have all this exposure. You have all these other clients that you've been working with, and I'm sure there's times when you, just like in the cross sale, you see certain products that would work well with another product. I know Ecwid has a feature, and you can help me come up with the name of it. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but say you have an audience and you want to feature your product in front of someone else's audience, and it's a good fit for that. There's a widget or something that helps you sell on partner sites, like something like that. Like, so for, say someone's just, how does that work? First, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
All right, awesome. Because I'm almost positive when we talked a while back, you were saying that you were doing this with what I'm asking. So one, is there a certain name for that widget? And I'm sure we could do a whole podcast on this. So let's try to keep it a little high level. What exactly can someone do to take advantage of someone else's audience, keeping this really easy within Ecwid, selling it potentially on other people's sites? And what does that look like?
Absolutely. Okay. This is one of the reasons why I came with Ecwid initially. I was looking for a solution that can integrate, like you can have more than one store on a website. In the case of our listeners, maybe they want to add their store to a partner site. They maybe work with a blogger and they want their store to be on that blogger site or within a blog post. The idea is that you can take your Ecwid store and put it anywhere you want online, and you can manage everything in your seller control panel. So you could have your store on, 100 websites, but you're still managing everything in one spot. That's an incredible opportunity, and it's something that I really love, and I feel like a lot of people don't know that Ecwid is capable of doing this. So it's definitely something I'm super enthusiastic about talking about, obviously.
Yeah, and again, trying to keep it super high level, but just one or two questions here, because we definitely should go in deep on this at one of these days. How does that work? Like, does that person, does the other, say Jesse and I, let's use us an example. I have something that I want to sell on Jesse's site. Does Jesse manage that store? Do I give him a piece of code? How does that work? I can't obviously just go put it on a bunch of sites and no one knows. So
yeah. No, of course the person has to consent to it. You can't just like throw your store anywhere. But
although we wish we could.
Only on pertinent places, though. Make sure that you're not putting your site on whatever. But yeah. So in your case, either you can give Jesse one product, so you can give him a piece of code. It's just a piece of code that you send him. It's as easy as that. All he has to do is copy paste it. There's no programming, no nothing. It could be any platform. It could be WordPress, Wix, custom HTML, doesn't matter. So you could send him code for just one product, or you could send him code for your entire store. And I could explain where to find that in Ecwid, but the basis of it is it's as easy as that. He just takes that piece of code, pastes it to his site, and that's it. Voila. Anyone can purchase from your store that is now on Jesse's site. And
in Ecwid, is it tracking that that's coming from Jesse's site, or do you do some sort of like your coupon code and now some way you name that product a little different on his store? Mm-hmm. So you would know where it's coming from, or some sort of affiliate setup. I know that's a bunch of questions in one question, but you get where I'm coming from. Like, how would you know where that's coming from?
I have so many ideas to answer your question too. It's hard. It's like all going through my mind.
Well, so then it does sound like we should do a full-blown webinar or another podcast on this particular thing. Give me your initial thoughts of what, and because we don't want to keep you all day. It's not necessarily that easy, I'm sure, even though pretty easy with Ecwid to run 50 stores. So that's first example of something you think, and we'll leave it at that.
I must admit, though, I have had questions about how to track this in the most optimal way. So maybe if we do another podcast on this in the future, we could make sure that we give the best information for how to track that. But I know that there are two right now, I'm pretty sure, options that integrate with Ecwid to be able to track resellers. So you could have a tracking code with an external third-party plugin that works with Ecwid. There's two of them that I know that work with Ecwid.
Nice. Nice.
So that's one way of doing it.
So
I haven't tested it though. So
yeah, we'll do that because this is fascinating. Like I could literally talk all day about the possibilities with this, and it sounds like you could too on just the ideas that started to come up. But I mean, we don't want to blow everyone away too much. There's so many things that people. Right, we covered 3-4 things people could do right now that could truly potentially move the needle today in their business pretty easy. So we'll go deeper at another date on that. But that's cool.
Yeah. So I wanted to touch a little bit on the strategy there. So how to, that's maybe a little more in depth. Maybe a video is better for that. But I wanted to let all the merchants think about their business and what is what's the strategy behind it. Like if I sell a product and I read all these blogs about the my industry, that might be an option. If you know the webmaster or somebody that works the business, the beginning of a partnership talk, begins right there, so that you can have your store on that existing blog or forum. So I just want everybody to kind of expand their mind a little bit and think beyond just your own store. You can be on Facebook, you can be on multiple partner sites, you can be on social media, everywhere from your one store. So definitely think about that.
Absolutely. I actually have a video that explains how to add your Ecwid store to any website, and that can be the basis for anyone. Actually, I have some customers who have taken that video and sent it to their partner so that they can follow the tutorial, which is about 1 minute, and learn how to add the code to their site. So it's super simple. It takes about a minute, but that resource is there for you if you want to already test it out with a partner. Just grab the link on YouTube, and then we'll put it in the notes of this podcast, I guess.
Oh, that sounds good. That's a good idea.
Yeah, great idea. So we'll get that in the show notes so people can dive deep a little bit more. And I think this is a good time to bring you back, and we'll go more in depth on this. We covered some great topics about. We talked about coupons. We talked about upsells, cross-sells, and abandoned carts, and a lot of those strategies all work together. So, if you're using an abandoned cart, you should be putting a promo in there. You should be, using a cross-sell, upsell. So definitely the tips kind of all work together.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
So Daniela, I really appreciate you having you on here today. Where can people find out more about you?
Yeah, on my website. So it's Daniela.io, Daniella, 2 L's in my name. And if you want, you can look for me on YouTube. Same thing, just search for Daniela.io. And I have an Ecwid, an ebook containing 30 ways to increase your e-commerce revenue with tips like the ones that we talked about today. And that's available in Daniela.io/store. And, as we talked about, offering a coupon code, you can get 15% off if you use the promo code podcast.
Oh, nice. They can see it in action.
Exactly.
So you named it podcast, everybody. So when you see this coupon later, you know that you're on, the customers came from podcast. So awesome. Awesome tying it together.
And Daniela, the multitasking entrepreneur, probably created that on the fly because it's so easy while we were doing the podcast.
Don't tell them that.
Awesome. So I hope those are a bunch of really good tips for merchants out there. Listen to it again. Check out the show notes if you want to see more information, YouTube videos. Daniela, thanks for having you on.
Great having you on, Daniela.
Thank you. It was a pleasure, honestly. Thank you so much.
All right. This is Jesse Ness with Richard Otey on the Ecwid Show. Well, Rich, there's another great show.
And when you add it all together with the other shows, you won't miss any strategies or new tactics on how to grow your online business.
So to make sure you don't miss anything, subscribe on your favorite podcast player. Rich, what player do you like?
Probably Stitcher.
All right.
How about you?
I'm an Apple podcast guy. I'm an Apple guy on that.
Yeah.
And we're growing right now. A listener asked us to add Google Play as a platform. So we just added that a couple weeks ago. We have Spotify, SoundCloud.
Nice. We're everywhere.
So subscribe on your favorite platform and don't forget to rate and review us.
So we know what you think.
Yeah, rate how we're doing, review on what we have done, tell us topics you'd like us to cover, tell us if you think we're great and you are going to take over the world.
Subscribe, rate, and review.
It's the only way we'll know, and it keeps the shows coming. Thanks, everybody.